Guys, there's been this song that's been stuck in my head the whole day. But anyway, hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. To those that don't know me, my name is Naki Hlomayi. If it's your first time here, we've got 3 playlists. We've got the Living in Fullness podcast, we've got the Couch Conversations, and we've got our Finance Fridays. So if any of these topics interest you, please do jump along to whatever playlist has something that might tickle your fancy. And once you've watched and you've enjoyed, please don't forget to like, share, and comment. And if you want to watch more, please don't forget to subscribe. It will help us to grow the family. So today I want to talk about people that inherit other people's beef. People that inherit their friend's beef. Just because your friend is fighting with somebody, you also want to pick up that conflict and make it yours. People that drink Panadol for other people's headache. Guys, these are high school tendencies. Have you heard people say, I don't talk to her because she fought with my friend. I don't talk to her because my friend told me that she's not a good person. Those were high school tendencies, literally primary school tendencies. You cannot be inheriting people's conflict. You know why? You were not there when it happened. You don't even know how it happened. In most cases, you don't know the background. You don't even know if the person that came running to you first was the wrong person. You know, you don't know who was wrong, especially when it involves your 2 friends. When it involves 2 friends, try by all means to stay away from the conflict. If possible, you can try to understand what happened from both of them, and once you understand, if you can, try to resolve it. Otherwise, it's okay for people to argue. It's okay for people to disagree. It's okay for people to fall out. It's okay for people's personalities to clash, So they could probably just be both hot-headed and they don't understand each other. And maybe you're level-headed, so it's easier for you and the other person to understand each other. But it's not in your place to now come and start beefing with another person just because they're beefing with your friend. That happens even in celebrities, right? You find people will argue on the internet. For people that don't know them, they will argue. They will not even like somebody just because that person doesn't like a celebrity. That person doesn't like a celebrity they like. People will also hate that person. Like they don't know you. Like I feel as adults, we're in a place where you need to make your own judgment call. You need to make your own assumptions, your own views. You need to evaluate things for yourself before just inheriting things that you don't even know where they started, how they started, who is wrong, who isn't. You have no idea. That happens even in relatives. Sometimes you find that this relative, you just come into this family, this relative just hates you. They don't know what you did to them. They don't even know. They were just told that this person is not a good person. This person did this, they did that. Things they haven't even noticed themselves. And then suddenly they just want to inherit that argument or that conflict that happened when they were not there. We need to grow up. You need to form your own opinions, form your own conclusions, form your own, judgment on this person based on how you communicate, how this person treats you, how they behave around you, what you have also noticed of this person, not based on gossip or hearsay or what another person has told you or how they fought with the other person. I think there's a really big thing, especially now that we're adults. We need to grow up. We need to stop this kind of behavior where you just see 2 people fighting and then suddenly you're also part of it. That's not to say though that you should just go around trying to be friends with people that have hurt other people just because you want to spite the other person. I've also met such people that will just go and argue with that will just go and befriend somebody on the basis that you and them are no longer friends, and sometimes just to get information about you, just to make you feel there's something wrong with you, just to gossip. There are also people like that. That's a topic for another day. The main point of this is to say, stop getting into conflict, stop getting into fights, stop getting into arguments, stop inheriting, wrestling wars for people on the basis that they're fighting with somebody that is your friend. Don't get me wrong. I also believe in loyalty. But one thing I'm not going to do is just stop talking to somebody or also beef with somebody on the basis that they fought with a friend of mine. Learn to make your own judgment. I've heard people say that the enemy of my friend is my enemy. Honey, were you there? Were you there when they fought? Were you there when this argument started? Do you even know the basis of it? You know, it takes maturity for you to actually learn to want to know people for yourself. Don't conclude. For me, I've noticed most of the times that someone has told me that this person is not a good person, they did this to them, they did that to them. It's okay for people to not understand each other. It's okay for people's personalities to clash. You don't have to be in the middle of it because you feel more loyal to the other person or you've heard one side of the story. You've already concluded that you will not speak to that person on the basis that the other person told you how hurt they were. They've told you their perspective of their story. Have you sat down to think of the other person's perspective? This, for me, specifically applies to friendships. I think with siblings, it's a little bit different. Like for me, if you're going to hurt my siblings, hey, honey, I'm done. I'm out. That's my perspective. That's my opinion. And I guess there are also other people that feel like I'm not going to stop talking to you just because you fought with my sibling. But for me, yes, with my siblings, I think it's a little bit different because your relationship with your siblings or your spouse is a permanent relationship. So generally, if you're not going to speak to my siblings or to my spouse, or if you're going to argue, I am definitely going to keep a distance from you. But one thing that I always do personally is to really understand what happened from both perspectives. And me not speaking to the other person sometimes, and it's not on the basis that they're wrong, it's because it's a bit awkward for me to maintain a relationship with somebody else who's beefing with my sister or with my husband, right? So one thing that's good and more mature though, from my perspective, is for you to be able to correct your sibling or your spouse. So if you feel that your spouse or your sibling had had their role to play in messing up this relationship or this friendship, then it's always good to correct them, right? And to not condone the bad that they did. But if we're talking about friendships, you're not going to, personally, I'm not going to stop speaking to somebody just because them and my friend fought, especially if both of them were my friends or if I knew both of them. Especially, you find people will just meet you on the street, and just because you're beefing with your friend, they cannot even greet you. They cannot even answer to your greeting. They'll not even speak to you, like whatever you post or whatever it is, just because you have beef with their friend based on the perspective they shared. In all honesty, some people that you're fighting for won't even fight for you when it's your turn. Sometimes you're just fighting for somebody who, given the opportunity, if they were in the same shoes that you are, they wouldn't even fight for you. So sometimes you really need to think about your actions before just concluding and saying that you and this person are not going to speak on the basis that somebody else shared a story or shared their emotions or pain that they went through because of that person. I mean, unless it's obviously black and white, but things that have to do with emotions, girl fights, girl issues, sometimes make your own judgment. And if you really are a true friend, you would be able to also correct your friend if they had a role to play. Like some people are literally losing good connections or good friendships with this whole thing of inheriting beef. Like if two people fought, who are you? Where do you come in? They came alone into this world. You came alone into this world. You don't even share a parent. Like sometimes you need to really weigh like the pros and the cons. Like, is it really worth it for me to stop speaking to this person on the basis that they're not speaking to this other person because of the story that they told me, which you were not there when it happened? For me, having my back sometimes actually entails you having to also correct me, bring me back to order, bring me back to my senses and say, friend, this that you did doesn't make sense, So it doesn't make sense for me that you will actually cut off somebody on the basis that somebody shared a story that you were not there when it happened. I won't lie, this is a very broad topic. Like it actually can encompass and bring in a lot of other topics. But I think the whole point of this is to say, just because you see two people in an argument, don't make the conclusion that the other person is the wrong one or the other person is the bad one on the basis that you're more loyal to the other person or you know the other person more, or they were the first person to come to you and say that that person is wrong. I think that's personally, to me, I find it very immature. Get to know people for yourself and form your own conclusions. I hope this has helped somebody. So please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'll also put my handle in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to also follow our podcast on all podcast streaming platforms. It's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, you know, just every podcast platform. But anyway, thank you guys, and I hope to see you next time.